Syntax error are those errors which are detected when we have not followed the rules of a particular programming. So now if anybody will ask you what is a syntax error, you can just take your cursor to the practical, and for example, if I say n is equals to 9, so I just zoom this window a little bit, I say n is equals to 9, and if I just put simply a indentation here, so the error you are able to see that this type of error, if I just try to run the code, it will prompt you an error that indentation error is there. That means it's called as syntax error. Or there can be, you in your class 11th you must have done the if else and all the things. If I just say if n greater than for example 80, for example I put like this, okay, so if I'm saying like this, I'm just zooming it little bit so that you will be able to see. So I'm not putting what is expectations here to put the colon. So if I'm not going to put it, and if I say print, if I say print or anything else what I want to put high here, yes, I'm definitely putting it at a tab here so that it is, you know, indentation is proper. So now if I just try to run the code, and now you will see it says expected colon is here. So this type of errors are called as syntax errors. That means, see, you are able to see it says syntax errors, right? So now why to waste the time on, you know, theory and all? So computer science is a subject which is related to the practicals, not about the theories and all. So syntax error means, see, in your book also it is mentioned that if you are not putting colon or something, missing parenthesis and all, if you have put like that, so it is going with like this. So now it has given in one more example here that functions are there and you are putting colon with the marks is equals to 20, then if this. So an error in the script means what? Good score. What do you exactly want? Because you have not mentioned a parenthesis here. So we are just going to go with that same code here. So if you can just go with this type of code, if you are not putting a parenthesis here and you just put it like this, even though you have put colon here, if you just try to run the code now, this time it will say missing parenthesis in call print. It's the same error it was there in your, you know, chapter, right? So these type of errors are there, and these errors are called as syntax errors, right? Then what is exceptions? You are saying syntax errors are those, but what is an exception? So exceptions are basically those errors which are not handled by the compiler. What does it mean? It means when an error occurs during the execution of program, basically it is generally called as an exception, but it is not, you know, it is not you can say handled very efficiently by the compiler like the syntax error is handled. That type of things are called as exception, right? Now you will say, ma'am, more elaboration with it, how we are saying that okay, these are exceptions and this is not this is a syntax error. Now we just go to the practical first and we will see how we are going to go with. So for example, this was a syntax error and there are other things also. For example, we will go with the exception first, but before that there are other errors also, that is logical error. Like, you know, logical means, for example, if you want c is equals to a minus b, and but you have put c plus b, so computer will not say that you are going to use subtract and you have put plus. So that means you are logically incorrect here, right? So that type of errors are called as logical errors. Now what about the chapter we are going with, that is an exception. What is exception handling? So exception errors means what? So what type of error I can call as it's an exception? So for example, if I take a variable a and I assign a value 9, and if I take a variable b and I assign a value 9 here, right? Now if I just say print, okay, quickly we are going with print, as this is a revision, so we should not waste the time on, you know, theoretical knowledge and all. So print a slash b, that is, it should give me the exactly value, that is a division of that. Exactly, it is giving me 1.0. Yes, that we want from it. Very good, that is the exactly value which we want from it. But what if I say instead of this, if I put 0 here? So now if I just try to run the code, it will not give you any syntax error or anything else. It will give a exception that I can't handle it. In mathematics, we in class 12th or class 11th, you must have heard about infinity. Anything divisible by 0 is an infinity, but in computer case we are not going to go with that. So here it will show you zero division error. So such type of errors are called as exceptions. They are not handled purely by the compiler. They are giving you the errors like this. So exception handling in Python is a concept that help you to prevent programming by from crashing of these due to these type of, this is a type of a crash, your program has been crashed. So what is the procedure to go with? How efficiently we can handle these type of exceptions, how we are going to, so that thing is there in your chapter, and which we are going to see. Syntax error, value error means if the values are different, mismatch values, we will see that also. There is IO error, inbuilt, these are the inbuilt exceptions, right? So like you must have seen, see, zero division error, it raised when the denominator is division operation is 0, isn't it? So in this similar manner there are other type of exceptions, you can just try out them. So like this, so print var plus 40. So var is what? It's a, we can treat it as a variable, but we have not assigned the variable, so it will say var is not defined. But if you are putting 10 plus 5, if you are putting 10 plus 5, so 5 here is a string and 10 is an integer value, so we can't add them together, isn't it? So that's the reason it is giving you the error for that. So these are the things which you have to note down, that these type of things when we go with this type of thing. So 10 plus 0.5, so this is not 0.5, this is a string, that means 10 plus 5, that's the reason it says unsupported operand. So if I'm working in Visual Studio Code, you can just go with the ideally here in your system. So if I just click on the ideally, and I can do the same thing which are there in your chapter. So if you just click on the print with, if I say print and I say var plus 4 and put a parenthesis, enter. So same error it is showing which is there in your book. Now it's very easy for us to remember all the things which are there in the book. So print, and then I'm saying 5, and this time I'm saying again I'm adding with the 5, but it is in a string. So this time it will say unsupported operand type. So we are doing it, it is not theoretical, it is all practical. So we are doing it, right? In the similar manner I am getting this error also. So I have already get that zero division error. So this thing you can do again here. So if I say, in this case, if I say print now, and this I say 8 divide by 0 directly here. So as a class 12 student, you must have worked in your this type of ideally is a integrated development learning environment. You can work with in future if you are going for a BTech, or you are going for a degree, technical degree. There you will not work in this type of environment. So you must have, you should try to work in Visual Studio Code also. This is one of the software where you can work. So if you are not comfortable to work here, you can just directly go here in the pure ideally, which is provided by the Python org. So you can just go with that. Okay, great. Now just moving to the our main file which is there. So how it is easy, how easy it is. So now it says raising the exception. Raising the exception means when you are going to use the raise statement. Raise statement is used whenever we throw an exception which is not there, which is not inbuilt. We are going to go with that, don't worry about it. We will see like that, raise exception, oops, an exception is occurred, so then my own message will be there. So we just go with that and we will see whether it's working or not. So just take the cursor here and say raise exception. Okay, and then whatever the message over there, so we can just go with that exception and put a parenthesis. You can just go with the other things, oops, my exception, or whatever you can put, that is your choice, and just go with this and enter. So now the question is, your Python is totally case sensitive. Remember students, Python is case sensitive. That means if you are putting it in a small, if your code is in small written, you have to put in a small. If it is in capital, then you have to put in capital. So that's the reason it says you have mentioned here exception in a small. I will not take that. So what we will do, we will just write it again, and we will say raise this time, and E capital. Rest of the things are small, EXEC. You have to write as it is, exception, and then put a parenthesis with it, whatever you can go with. Oops, my bad, no, why you are bad luck, it's a my good luck. You can just put it like this. Okay, just do it like this, enter, and now you will get an exception like raise exception, but still it is saying the name exception is not defined. The reason here, the same thing is, I think, oops, the exception, I think raise, giving you the same raise exception and all exception. Oops, it is not giving the exactly the same the thing. Yes, we are going to go with the same thing again in the practical, but yes, raise exception, just try it like this and see the output is exactly almost the same which is it is giving us, right? I think my spells are wrong, I think so. So EXO exceptions, see, my spells are wrong. So don't worry, if you are raised to this level, so you can just kill this from this, or you can just click on the shell and you can restart the shell again to restart it again here, and now do the same thing. So raise, or you can just restart it, you can close it and again, ideally, so that I get a clean environment. So raise except, E should be capital, EXCEPTION exception. Okay, then hi, welcome, and you can put anything, that is your choice. Now I'm getting the same thing which is there. So exception, it is my own exception which we have created. That's the thing when raise keyword is used, whenever we have to create our own exception, right? So this is the thing which is there in your book. Okay, so this is the raise statement and all. And then how exactly you are going to work with the raise? So like in your example, you have a number which is in a list, then we are saying length is 10. We say length is greater than, that is the length means 10 is greater than length of the numbers 1 2 3 4. Yes, it is exactly. So then it has to be raised. That means raise means your own exception you have raised, and then it will say no except execution, or it will give you the length. So if you are going to try to run this code, so it will definitely raise the exception because your length is 10 but the numbers are 1 2 3 4. So we will just do it this quickly with the practical, so that it will be easy for us to go with. Either you can just type the whole code here, but we have a one choice, we can click on the new and we can try to complete the whole code which is there. So what is the code? We just little bit minimize it like this. So number, first we can take an n instead of numbers, we can take number, and we can take any 4 numbers because there are the 4 like this. And then what exactly it says? It says length is equals to 10, and then length you can take a L variable. It is not necessary to take the L length always. L is equals to, so 10 exactly. Then we are saying if L is greater than length, length is a inbuilt function, LEGTH, length of what? N. N is a list because it is, you must have work in the class 11th about the list. If not, let me know in the comments, then I will make a video on list. So it's a list, we are saying like this. If it is like this, then you have to raise, we are saying raise, and what is the name of that? We are saying index error, right? Index error. So just take the cursor here and I index, and you can put error like this and enter. This is the one thing, it is giving us length raise, and then I'm saying if it is like that, then you have to print something. So I say print hi. For example, you can put anything, whatever there is in your book. Just take the cursor because indentation is necessary. If I just try to run the code, it will say that you need to save it and all. That is your choice to go with. So it is a Python program, we need not to go with. So now this time it says length is not defined. Why? The reason behind is something I have, I have completely written length, but length is not a function. len is a function. So sorry for that. So run and run the module and okay. So this time it says that index error has been raised, because if it is going here, and now if I just try to run the code again, so I have mentioned this because the number 10 is greater than it, and I am saying raise this, and I am saying print it. So if it is going to the index error, so it is not going to go with this hi wala message, right? So now if I just try to see this thing again, right? So in this way it says in raise index error, the same error it was giving me, isn't it? Same thing. So then the assert statement in the Python is used to test an expression. There is an assert. So like this, print use assert def. Def is used for the function definition, and whatever the condition is true or false, according to it, it will give you the value. So for example, in this case, this is your ideally, and here you have use of assert statement, and you are getting the things like oops, negative number, whatever the code you have written, print this, and def is what? Function name negative check, and you are just calling it, and you are just passing 100, whether 100 is greater than 0. Yes, it is greater than that, so it will print this value. You need not to use a print statement here, it is automatically giving you the value for that, right? So handling exception is what? How to handle these exceptions so that it should not crash the system and all. This is all written here in this chapter, and I don't think that you need to go through this all theory and all. Just you need to go with the concept. So how exactly the exception handling is going to. So now the main thing, how exactly you are going to work with that division by error or any other exception handling. So we will see these practicals, like this is the numerator and this is denominator we are going to, then I'm going to go with the quotient, and then we will see how it should not display the division by error, it should display the message according to me. Then that thing is called as exception handling. So you just go with this thing here. This is one of the example which is there, the division error. This is one of the example, this is another example, and we will see how we can go with. So we just go in our ideally, and we just try to go with the examples of exception handling. Okay, so first, what was a problem statement? Problem statement was division by error, and I just want to go with the division, that is zero division error, using exception handling. Okay, so let me go with that. Okay, just examples of, I can write here, exception handling. Okay, my pen was not working, no issue. First thing first thing was what? Division that is mentioned in your book. So division by 0. These are this session is basically for the class 12, but yes, definitely exception handling is there in BCA, there in BTech, there in MCA, there in any programming. So you can just go with this. So first, what we have to understand for exception handling. That means if I am not using an exception handling, for example, if I give you another example again, so I say, if I am saying print, again I am saying this thing a/b, and if I just try to run the code, okay, if I just try to run the code, it will give you the answer for that. Okay, so it says division by 0, division error and all. That means my program has been crashed, it is not printing the output properly. So now I want this type of exception should be handled. That means my own customized message should be there. So that's the thing when we are using the concept of exception handling. That means what we are going to go with, there are some keywords which you have to remember. What you have to do, you have to put the problem in the try block. You need to use a keyword try, and you need to put the things which are creating the problem here. So you just put them in the try block. Okay. So that means if there is an exception, then it will go to the exception wala phase. So that means what? That means if I am saying 9, and if I just try to code this, and if I just try to execute this, okay, it says if you are using an exception, then you have to use a finally block or anything except block. But you have not written any exception, here. So that's the reason it says I'm not going to run it. So if I say Control Z and I just try to run it again, and I show you this first. So I say 9, and if I just try to run the code, this time it is 101% executable program, and it is giving you 1.0. The problem is when I am putting what? When I am putting 0 here, right? And that time what we are going to, handle it with the help of try and except. Try is a keyword, except is a keyword, and we are going to work with. So I say print, I can put a/b here. Okay. Now what I do, I just say try with the keyword here, and I say tab, because it should be inside this try block, the problem creating program. Okay. And when I will get an exception, so that means I need a keyword except, and which type of exception it is. So you need to type exactly the same. Z should be capital, otherwise it will not work. D should be capital, otherwise it will not work. These are the things when you are working in Visual Studio Code. These are, as a beginner, these are very easy, because we need not to type each and everything there. Automatically when I press ZE, it will give you the 0 division error. I'll show you that also. So print, and then you will say, you can say anything. You cannot divide by 0, right? You can just put it like this and put a parenthesis. Right. Now just try to run the code, and now see what is the difference over there which was not there. So now it says you cannot divide by 0. Isn't it beautiful? Right? So our own output is there. Now if division is by 0 occurs, then and then program will not crash. Otherwise, earlier it was crashing and it was saying division by 0 error is there. Now it is giving you the proper block of statements which we have written. Whether we can write it, we can type anything here. Now if I just try to run the code again, and if this time it says again the same thing. So if I just close this now, and if I again put here 2 instead of this, now if I just run it, and this time it will perfectly work 4.5, right? So that's the reason why developers are putting each and everything in the try, because if anything is wrong, it will automatically go to the exceptions, right? So there are other exceptions also, like input, invalid input, or anything else you can put, right? For example, if you are going to put enter the number and you are trying to put a character, that time it should give you a value error. So that time you will put, instead of this division 0 error exception which is inbuilt there, you will not say here 0 division error, you will say value error. So I'll give you another example for that. But before that, I just want to shift this program, Control C, to Visual Studio Code to show you that how easy it is there also. So just paste the code and just try to run the code. This time it will say 4.0, and now if I just say 0 here, and if I just try to run the code, you will see you cannot divide by 0. Now I'll show you here how it is easy. So another example we are taking for inputting the wrong value. If I say int, we all know, we have already worked with earlier. So input, we say enter the number. I'm saying enter the number. Okay, I'm saying enter the number, right? Great. Now if I just say enter the number and I say print, that's fine. And I want to print the number, that's fine for me. Okay. Now if I just try to run the code, and if I'm just entering how we are going to run in Visual Studio Code with the play button. So enter the number and I say 8. So it is perfectly working 8. Now if I just try to run the code again, and this time if I just say enter the, and I'm deliberately press P, so this time it will say value error, and again my system is crashed, my program is crashed, isn't it? It is giving you some, things which are not valid for me, right? So I want to handle this again, this type of exception. How to go with? Again you have to do the same thing, just put the try block again, just say try, and now these things are inside the block. Now this thing is again inside the block, and if I am using a try, so it will give you an error here. Why? It says whenever you are using a try, you need to use except. So how beautiful and how easy is here. See, you need not to type it. So if I say V capital, it will automatically give you the value error. So that's the reason for a beginner we always suggest that, okay, just go with Visual Studio Code. It will be easy for you to remember, but honestly, as a learner, you should type each and everything yourself. Now what I want to go, if the exception is there, so you can say wrong value or whatever you want to go with, that is your choice. If I just try to run the code, and this time you will see how beautifully it will handle that P. It says wrong value, it is not going to crash, right? So in this way there are lots and lots of exceptions over there, and you can just try them one by one, right? So like we have worked with the division error which is there in your syllabus, value error we handle with that also, that if you are putting some wrong value or integer value is there and you are putting a character value, or a character value is there, you are putting an integer value, so it will give you the value error. So we had handled that also. There is one thing called as finally. Finally means what? Exactly what? Finally is there in every exception handling. So you can use, if you can use else statement also. You must have worked with the else statement earlier also. So else statement is there and finally is there. Finally means if, see, we have covered all the things which are related to the your exception handling. These are the questions which are there. If you want these questions should be solved, so put that in a comment in the next session, then we will cover these questions also. Otherwise I don't think that you will not answer now, because we have covered the syntax error, we have covered all these things are over there. And if you have to write the note on exception handling, you can go with that. Now it's very easy for you. So now there is one thing which I need to cover this time. So if you are not using, for example, if you want, it should display the division error, or it should display any this value error, but it should display one more message with it or something with the value also. That time you can put else with it. You can put else also, and you can just say print, you can say good value or something, whatever you can go with. So if this time, if I just try to run the code, if this time I'm entering the value 89, so 89 is an integer value, it will put the 89 here, because in the print 89 is there, and good value means it has to go to the else, not to the except, right? This is one thing which I wanted to. And there is one more thing which is called as finally. Finally means what? Finally means if the code is right or wrong, if your exception is there or not, finally will be there. So you just say print, right? So if you go to for example, I'm giving you a very simple example. If you are visiting to a particular relative and you are saying, please give me cold drink, and the person is saying, no, there is no cold drink at home, then you are asking for any other drink, then you are asking for another thing, then at last you will say, please give me water. In the similar manner, it's like that, it will be always there. So finally means always there. This type of statements are always there. So if I just go with this, always there. If I am putting the same good value, then and then it will print. So if I say enter the number and I say 90, so always there is there, isn't it? If I just try to run the code and then I just give the wrong value to it, I say P, and this time also it's there, right? So this is all about your exception handling. Isn't it so easy to go with this type of things with the practical? So students, why students find, class 12 students or 11th or BTech, BCA or any technical degree students find these things difficult? The reason behind is they are not working with the practicals. So whenever you are going with the practicals, computer science is too easy. So I think you got the exception handling, and now in your examinations you will get the full marks on exception handling. So if you really find this type of video very useful for you, please put a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe my channel. I'll meet you in the next chapter of programming. Till then, take care. Bye bye.